busy people getting fit in Fulshear, Texas. Our aim is to help you look better, feel better, and perform better as quickly as possible. I'm your host, Bryan White with Blue Eagle Fitness and Nutrition. Welcome. Hey, what's up, Clancy?
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Great. Today's a great day.
You have a different backdrop.
I do. I'm messing around with where to sit because the sun now is coming this way and it's cloudy, so it's perfect lighting. But as soon as those clouds disappear, I'm going to have a ray of, if I'm sitting where I normally sit, I'm going to have this ray of sunshine hitting my face. And you're going like, wow, Brian can barely see. And that looks really weird. And didn't he plan for this? No. So and I've got this, I actually have a couple of bookshelves, but you can't see them. So I'm going to have to get this all fancy at some point, but whatever.
Well, your skin looks good and the lighting looks good. So
great.
I know you were going for the dewy skin look.
Dewy skin. So. That is exactly what I was going for. You have no idea how much time I have spent getting my skin ready to be looking dewy. Okay, let's talk about the 5 love languages. What is your love language?
I am quality time person for sure.
What does that mean to you?
That means that I am a social person. We all know this. I like crowds of people. I like parties. I like people. I like being around people. But quality time is when I'm with 1 or 2 people and talking about something that's not surface level. So not just benign subjects like, oh, how are you? How's the weather? Let's get small talk. I hate small talk. So quality time is when we're talking about like deep personal things that could be family, it could be relationship driven, family driven. So I like to figure people out. I like to figure out what makes them tick and why. And so I like to talk about those kinds of things.
Okay.
What about you?
Do you have, is that your primary love language is quality time?
Oh yeah. So that's my primary. I do have another one that is words of affirmation. So I'll bend over backwards for people who are kind and talk nicely to me. Simply said.
Now, for someone, if your secondary language is words of affirmation, how impacted are you by negativity or negative words being spoken to you?
Extremely. It is one of my, and I've told you this before when we've had to have some hard conversations, that I am not mature when it comes to people being unkind. That's when my maturity goes out the window. I don't like it. I get very upset. It really triggers me.
When people say unkind things about you?
When they're ugly or rude. Rudeness.
So you owned some donut stores for a while. How did that go with this lack of maturity that happens when unkind things are said about you or to you?
Well, I've fired a few customers. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
It's
kind of a zero.
Do what?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, as a small business owner, right, I get my fair share of, let's say, negativity, negative feedback on, and I honestly, before owning a business, I didn't know this was part of the job. Like, I've never been anywhere. I've never gone to a store if I didn't like it, like I left. I didn't yell at someone or send them rude emails or DM them on Instagram with my thoughts on how so-and-so treated me. I just never went back. But apparently, not to say the majority, but there are a large handful of people who prefer to give their negative feedback long after like I will ever see them again. Long after
That's
like can
interesting.
correct whatever mistake or issue arose. And so one of my secondary love language is words of affirmation. And I've had to learn, like, first of all, breathe. Never respond to anything with 24 hours, right? Learned that through marriage, right? I mean,
Yes.
but I get stung more by negative words than I think the average person does. I know I have plenty of friends that are like, please forget that. That's well, I'm like, oh,
Have you ever read the Four Agreements?
I have not. The four
One of the
agreements.
agreements, one of the agreements is don't take anything personal.
Oh, that's terrible.
So my question
Can't
is,
do that.
my question is, how does that work? Because if someone's yelling at me and telling me, like in the you mentioned the donut shops, I've had customers come in yelling and screaming, throwing a fit, being extremely rude and cussing me out even,
Over
and
donuts.
over donuts. And I'm just like, get some perspective here. This is a donut shop. This is like the second happiest place on earth.
It's a
If
donut shop. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that.
And so I've had people that have been cussing at me or cussing at our employees, and I've very maturely asked them to leave and never come back. But it hurts and that doesn't hurt, right? That doesn't affect me personally.
Okay.
But when somebody that I'm friends with or
Yeah.
family member, what I perceive as rude, that hurts. Like I'll
Okay.
remember that forever and ever. And I wish I didn't. Like I wish I
Okay.
had a short-term, memory on those types of things. But
Interesting.
I'm very sensitive. I know you think I'm not because people think that outgoing people are not sensitive for some
Yeah.
reason, but I am extremely sensitive if someone's rude or ugly to me,
Okay.
and it hurts my feel. Like I get my feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, I'm a very confident, strong-willed person, so maybe people think someone like me wouldn't get their feelings hurt, but I do. I do take things personal. So that Four Agreements book, I read that and I was like, we're done with that.
That book hit too close to home for it to be useful for you, I think. It was maybe I haven't read the book. I know nothing of the book, but it sounds like from your reaction that it was a little bit too close, maybe too truthful for you, that for you to not take action.
Well, yeah, I just think there's certain things. How do you not take them personal? If it's your livelihood and you put your heart and soul into
Yeah.
something and all your time and energy and effort, how do you not take it personal? I mean, I wish somebody would tell me that because I don't know how, you know?
Yeah, I do know that when I worked for Shell, one of the pieces of feedback that I got from a manager and he was one of the worst managers. He just wasn't very good at managing. He was good at doing his job, but not managing people. And he was managing 5 of us. And he, hey, you do, Bryan, you take feedback way too personally. And I'm like, no. I take bad feedback too personally. Like I just spent 6 months working on a project. My stakeholders are supremely proud and excited about the work that I have delivered to them. But you have come back to me and told me that my stakeholders think that it's terrible, that I'm a terrible employee, and that I need to be fired. But I know you haven't actually talked to my stakeholders, because my stakeholders came to me before this meeting and said, hey, why hasn't your boss talked to me yet? So you're literally just making stuff up. And I'm taking that personally.
Yes.
um,
Yeah, when the boss calls you in and says, "Look, Clancy, don't take it personal, but you're not really cutting it, and you have 60 days to find another job and get out. But, don't be, don't be upset or offended or take it personal." Oh,
Okay,
okay.
so both you and I, our secondary love languages is words of affirmation. We are particularly stung by negative words and have to work through that emotional process. Um, by the way, my primary love language is physical touch. I mean, a handshake, like a hug. A friend of mine from Canada, we met years ago. He's now moving in Canada. If you've ever been to my house and seen these big, beautiful chandeliers that we've had for 10 years, they weren't mine. we were storing the chandeliers for our friends because they lived around the world. They're now moving back into their forever home up in Calgary. They're Canadian. And he came by literally came by today and picked them up. So took them down and took them home. But I mean, the first time I saw him yesterday, giving him a big hug, right? I mean, giving Rob a big hug. Cause a handshake is nice, but it doesn't always work. Like I need to, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we're hugging this out. Haven't seen each other in 5 years." So, that's physical touch. Whether my kids, like my oldest Kaylee in particular, knows dad, if I want to make dad happy, give him a hug and give him a kiss on the cheek, right? I mean, I don't ask for a lot. You can even then ask me for gas money after that, and the answer will be yes, 100%.
Like Coach Farah's daughter came in the gym this morning, went
Yes.
straight to her, hugged her, and we were all like, "Oh, that's so nice." And she goes, "Yeah, but y'all didn't hear her ask me for something while she was hugging me." We're like, "We don't care. Give
That's
it to
exactly
her,
right.
whatever she wants."
That's exactly right. Okay, so we've got physical touch is my primary. Yours is quality time. We both have a secondary of words of affirmation. What about receiving gifts? Does that impact you at all?
I mean, I like gifts, but it doesn't. I guess let me take that back. If it's in relation to quality time, yeah, I love
Okay.
the gift. If you say, "Clancy, I know that you collect pigs. Do you remember that time when we were at your house and you showed me your pig collection?" I actually do collect pigs.
I didn't. This is new to me.
And I got you these little salt and pepper shakers in the shape of pigs because I know how much you love it. Then I would be like, "Oh, let's have a hug and
Okay.
sit down and talk about it. We can look at these pigs together."
Okay.
If it's something like that, yes. But a gift just because, I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't like gifts. I'm not going to send them
Sure.
back. My
Gotcha.
husband got me, this is a terrible story. Y'all are going to think I'm the most ungrateful person. My husband got me a beautiful 10-year anniversary ring, beautiful diamond ring. And at the time, I was trying to retire from my corporate job and I really wanted to stay home. And I was on the cusp of doing that. And he comes home with this beautiful diamond ring. I wear it quite a bit on my ring finger. And I told him to take it back to the store and get a refund. And he was like, "What?" He was so hurt. He couldn't believe that I would say that, but I was trying to save money so that I could retire. And I just didn't think spending money on diamonds at the time was a good idea. Now I feel like that is the most ungrateful thing ever. He was so hurt because he's a gift giver.
Okay.
So he would come in with gifts all the time. And I would be like, "Well, yeah, let's take that back, and let's save our money." And he was like, "What is wrong with you? I'm trying to show you love."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What about acts of service?
I mean, it's not going to hurt my feelings if you want to empty the dishwasher. No
Yeah.
one's going to be mad.
Yeah. That's this. I get, the acts of service gets, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't have real good examples of how to adequately love someone through acts of service. on a consistent basis. And we try to implement these 5 love languages in the gym, right? We want to words of affirmation. We want to tell you how awesome you are, because the reality is, especially in the gym atmosphere, most people don't realize how great they are, right? They don't realize how great they're doing. And in fact, here's a little plug: book your goal review session. Only takes 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to sit down and I am literally going to show you how amazing you are. We're just going to look at data, not going to make anything up, but we can spend 15 minutes. Let me show you the progress you've made. So just a little plug: book your goal review session. I want to talk to you. But we talk a lot about making sure we ring the bell for PRs, for example, right? Second, quality time. Like with every coach, we want every coach in every class spending one-on-one time in some capacity with every client, right? And hopefully that's happening. And when it's not happening, we give feedback to each other as coaches saying, hey, are you spending one-on-one time with each of your athletes, helping them get better? Just letting them know that you see them, making sure you're connecting with them. The gifts, we give ribbons. That's our gift giving. You do have to earn it. So maybe it's less of a, literally my wife is overhearing this conversation and is texting me with acts of service in the gym. So receiving gifts, that's what we do for ribbons. Her acts of service, I will just say acts of service. Let me just read this to you. Acts of service in the gym: put up their weights and wipe down their equipment. Right? So whether it's a coach doing this for the athletes, or I love it. One of my favorite parts of any class is when the class is over, we're done with the Metcon, and people help each other put away their equipment. Right?
I love that.
That's one of my favorite parts of the whole day. It's one of my favorite parts.
You know what Coach Dave did for me the other day? And it was so kind, because he knows my back has been bothering me. He goes, Keithy, let me get that box for you, because I know your back's been bothering you. Oh, Coach Dave, thank you so much. That made my day.
I love it. And then the last one, physical touch, our 5th one, we're giving fist bumps. Like we want fist bumps, high fives, pat on the back. I know you like to give hugs to your people when they come into class. So whether it's hugs, high fives, fist bumps, pat on the backs, we want touch, that touch.
Absolutely. We need 14 hugs a day, by the way. 14.
14 hugs a day. I don't think anybody's getting that.
So you better drink your gallon of water and then get your 14 hugs.
Okay.
You'll be happier. You'll be a happier person.
Okay.
So will I.
So we need to figure out a way to get 14 hugs in a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're leaving this conversation with.
Yes. You have 3 daughters, so that should be easy for you.
I have 2 of them are teenagers. And the 7-year-old's not very happy with me right now. So today was the first day of school after a 4-day weekend, and I do morning duty. So I'm the bad guy making her go to school. I was not getting a hug this morning from the 7-year-old.
Oh, my.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Clancy. I appreciate our conversation.
Always a pleasure.
Okay. Thanks. You can get every episode of Busy People Getting Fit wherever you listen to your podcast or on YouTube. You can also reach us at busypeoplegettingfit.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.